Try the Go Fish experiment, a fun little game to play with the subconscious. Skip to the end for the logic, foremost for I is the process. I do not consider nonsense a waste of time, and this is why. Disclaimer, there is something to be said for this idea, but as always the language is so insincere as to what I am actually trying to grasp at and convey within it. With this experiment, I want to show that nonsense is good for the imagination, and whilst no scientific paper should ever be written in this manner, I think it would benefit science as a whole if a few imaginative souls were let loose with their subconsciousnesses. To be clear here before the experiment begins, being clear and concise is excellent and admirable, but it is not always as beneficial to the imagination as it could be, and that is what I am interested in exploring here with you today. The goal is to put more imagination into the world and inspire others to do so too, in the hope that more good ideas can be born from it. Also, a word of warning before we begin this experiment: too much of anything is bad for you, and that includes my imagination. Get ready to fish. The best I can do is bear to it with yearning, the subconscious. The surface of it is how regular patterns of speech are ineffective at understanding greater concepts than logic can command. If I could compare philosophy to one thin thing in particular, it would be humour. The goal is to understand what the humour is, but the best we can ever come up with is jokes. So you see, even a mistake may not perform solely as can be. Good imaginative language should allow the reader to jump over, comma placement explained, the mundane. It should simultaneously ignite all the possibilities of how abstraction can be applied to the subject matter. Also, punctuation is important for the flow of ideas. A comma in the right or wrong place can be a pause for thought, or a dinosaur stalling of thought. Full stop. Human society is built upon the foundations of our languages. In order for language to be at its best, it should flow like consciousness from the subconsciousnesses. The reader should join the journey of the writer, whilst also being privy to all that they have left untouched, as the syllables swam upwards to greet the hook. Within the current structure it is impossibly slow, but that does not mean that the potential is utterly dead. Far from it. It is teeming with life. There is a way to speak which has more than just noise. There is a way to suggest more than logic can command, and through the uncertainties of clarity new ideas can be realized, ideas which may change the very perspective that the dogma demands, that it defines. A jumble commanded into a jumble indeed. Every noise that is uttered in the fish, as it is uttered, is streaming in real time, and what you are doing by listening to it is translating what you have been taught that those sounds mean, the correct meaning, the intent behind them, as is established in the particular language. My point is that there are endless possibilities in just one sound, if you listen carefully enough. When you listen to the word when, first it is the w sound. Now break that down further to the very instance the w begins. Go there now and really study it. You see the limitless potential this single sound holds, where it could go and what it could be. It is a myriad of potential ideas shackled in the intent of what the sound will become established as, i.e. when. Your brain knows this, but our language is so slow. Questions? Always question, even if it is unclear as to what you are questioning. You cannot look stupider than I, dear fish. In pursuit of new ideas, we need to become better listeners. We need to listen more closely to possible meanings, rather than just, what do you mean by that sound? So let us take a subject we clearly don't understand much, such as humour or philosophy, and let us create sentences that are full of passive possibilities around the subject. For one thing that is foolish is the subject itself, and therein lies the potential of some great insight for another. Maybe maps of the mind cannot be drawn, but all from the inside they most certainly are. Also, know when to stop, when the magic is lost, and when to continue, or when you warm up and die, an eye for an eye. There is wisdom in nonsense, and it needs to be heard. If you have to turn your inner ear to it, it is probably worth it. Think of the power of the succinct. Think of the power contained in a poignant quotation. All subconsciousness is an ocean filled with fish, so if you want to try this experiment, go fish. You might be surprised at what others can catch from a glance of your own. Ill-defined, undefined, the fish. There was actually something to be said for this idea, but as always the language was so insincere as to what I am actually trying to grasp at and convey within it. Go fish, go. Right, cut the bullshit. Every word is made from sounds, and every time you hear a sound, you are asking yourself, what does that sound mean? The words give the sounds context, and that allows you to form the idea of the intent behind the sounds as they are uttered. However, I think this runs far deeper than we realize. I think the brain is actually calculating possible scenarios in our subconsciousness in real time, or perhaps even a sort of pre-time, as the sounds are uttered. Maybe even going so far as alternate timelines that we are unaware of until the intent of the sounds entertain them into the reality of our consciousness. The sounds give rise to words, the words give rise to ideas, but before we have even a word understood, I think the power of the subconscious is already planning ahead in immeasurable possibility as to what reality might actually be. So let us have a little fun with those devices in our heads. Let us see if we can catch them out a little, or at least keep them on their toes, in our own little humble manner of fishing. By being mischievous with a sentence structure and injecting unusual punctuation or unexpected words, we can trigger the subconsciousness into providing us with far greater imaginative outcomes than would otherwise be possible. Like the metaphor of the ocean of fish, we are uncertain as what we have caught until it surfaces into our consciousness. And there is a whole ocean of unexpected fish to be caught in the subconscious. However, and this next point is crucial, one must always relay to rock, i.e. stay sane, because it doesn't matter how magnificent the catch is if you are drowning in the midst of uncertainty as to what is actually real anymore. No one will believe you, and you will be called mad without the context of reality to relate to. Therefore, if you want to perform the Go Fish experiment, be sure to inject enough concise clarity into each sentence you wish to meddle with. A balance with well-established reality will produce the best end results. Then cast your rod again and again, refine and repeat. You will be surprised at what you can summon from the depths. Use a little nonsense as bait, and your subconscious might just give you a little wisdom on your hook. So now it is time for you to try the experiment. If you are willing, pick a subject and write about it. When you feel a little nonsense at your fingertips, let it out. Let it fly free. If a word sounded like something initially, just go for it, even if it makes no sense. Don't be embarrassed, just have some fun, and carouse the coincidences. Try it below in the comments if it pleases you. Happy fishing, everybody.